So today we are going to learn time series. Time series is just a list of numbers that show how something changes over time. So if you have a set of data about what time you went to bed since you were much younger, like when you were 5, that's a time series. For example, when you were 5, age 5, okay, maybe you went to bedtime was, 7 p.m. Okay, age 6, it was 7:30, maybe, I don't know, and 7, 8 o'clock, and 8, and 8:30, and 9, 9, and maybe like at 10, you are going to bed at 10 p.m., and now you are 15, I guess, I don't know, around, you are going to bed like midnight on average. Okay, so this is a time series data. It shows how something changes over time, right? And there are quite a few points you need to know when interpreting time series, but there are two major concepts, the most important things that you need to understand to start with. One is called trend, and the other is called seasonality. Okay, trend is as the word suggests, is the long-term tendency, whether something increases or decreases over time or stays the same. Okay, so increases or decreases or stays the same. Okay, increase, decrease, okay, or stay the same. So when you were 5, your bedtime was 7 p.m. and then you were 10, it was 10 p.m. and now at 15, it's like midnight. That's the trend. Okay, the trend, your bedtime is getting later. It is getting later. So, well, it's not increasing, but it's getting later. Okay. How about seasonality? Let me go to the next slide. Okay, seasonality. Seasonality is a repeated pattern. Repeated pattern. Okay. Season does not necessarily mean summer, winter, or autumn, or spring. Okay, it can mean that, but it can be yearly pattern, or monthly, or weekly, or hourly, or whatever, every minute, every second, whatever, as long as it has a pattern in a recognizable way. For bedtime, I would assume the seasonality is weekly. Okay, why? Because usually people tend to go to bed a bit earlier on weekdays when they have school or work the next day. So from Monday to, actually from Monday all the way to Thursday, maybe on average 15-year-old would go to bed around, I would say, 11 p.m. Okay, and on Fridays and Saturdays, maybe you go to bed around 2 a.m. Okay, so that's the seasonality. Okay, weekly seasonality. In your bedtime time series data. Okay, and taking seasonality into account when interpreting time series is very important. For example, let's say if I own an ice cream shop. Okay, I opened it 5 years ago, and if I say, for example, ice cream shop. Okay, ice cream shop. And for example, if I say, hey, I sold 100 scoops per day in January this year. And then I said, but I sold only 50 scoops per day in August last year. Okay. And then I claim, hey, my business is growing. Business is growing. Many people will say, no, I don't think so, because in August it's much colder than January, and of course you are not selling as much. And the fact that you are selling more scoops of ice cream in January compared to August doesn't mean your business is growing. But what if I say, okay, I sold 100 scoops, okay, in January per day, okay, 2025, but I was selling only 10 scoops in January. January in 2019 when I just opened the shop. Can I claim that my business is growing? Probably, yes, because okay, I am already taking into the seasonality into account, right? So it's the same January, same season. The weather temperature should be very similar, and I'm selling 10 times as much. So I took into account the seasonality, and the figure, it's still growing, so I can say my business is growing. If I look at this data on a graph, it will look something like this. So let's look at how it looks like, your ice cream sales looks like on a graph. Okay, so on the y-axis you have ice cream sales, and on x-axis you have the time, years. Okay, so here you have ice cream sales, maybe like scoops per day, okay? And here you have 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and maybe here 2023, okay? And here, the start of 2019 is January, right? And somewhere in the middle you have the coldest weather, which is, I guess, like August, okay? And again, start of the year it's January, and somewhere here you sell your ice cream sales becomes lowest, okay? So that's January, that's August, and so on and so forth, okay? So when you started your business in January of 2019, you were selling, for example, about this much. Okay, and then February maybe about the same. March gets lower and lower, and then in August is here. Okay, it hits the lowest, but as the weather gets warmer again in September and October, it you're selling more ice cream, and then in 2020 in January. It's summer again, and then you are selling a lot more than like when you were when it was during winter, and like goes like that and goes up. 2021 summertime, 2021 wintertime, 2022 summertime, 2022 wintertime, 2023 summertime, 2023 wintertime, and so on and so forth. Okay, so so what you see here, right? Okay, from here to here is one season, okay? 1 year. It's an yearly thing, ice cream sales. So this up and down, down and up, I would say, down and up. This is the seasonality, okay? But if you look at it, okay, even if when you take the same season every year, you are selling more, okay? You take the same season every year, the lowest point, probably August of each year, you are selling more than the August of the previous year, right? So your overall tendency, trend, is increasing. So this red line is the trend. Trend is increasing. Okay. Whereas the seasonality is this one. Okay. This one is the seasonality. Seasonality. All of this, okay? All of it. Repeat, repeat. Okay, let me write it in green. Right.